Okay, so welcome to day 3. Oh, this is great because now I forgot what I was doing on the other days. I went ahead and recorded some gameplay before I started doing this commentary and completely forgot what I was doing on those days. I think I'm up to day 6 now, starting day 6. And I had to stop because I was running out of storage. But coming back and doing this commentary, and now I'm completely clueless as to what I'm doing on day 3. I do know that I'm doing a different, I'm implementing a different strategy going forward. I still have to build up a raid base from Blood Moons, but which I think I'm going to start on when I go back from the day 6. I'm just going to spend all day building a raid base, although I don't have a lot of cobblestone or resources like that. But I don't know. I think I just got access to iron tools. I'm having a slow start by comparison. This tree damages that thick boy zombie. Doesn't kill him, but he goes down a lot easier in the trap. Because usually this guy goes down like a couple of times and then gets back up, but he goes down, down for the count first time, and that was due in part to dropping a tree on his head. I added that to the list of things. Environmental damage is allowed in the rules. I wanted to make sure that was established. For whatever reason, I don't know. I feel like I should have just... I'm kind of having second thoughts about doing a commentary or doing any of this, really, because I feel as though I should have already worked out a lot of what I'm doing. I don't know why. It's supposed to be a Let's Play, but I don't know what it is anymore. It's migrated into something else. To be perfectly honest, I'm not really thinking about the game. I was just informed today that my job status is changing with my employer, and it kind of changes things for me a little bit, puts me on edge a little bit, because I've been, in the past, I've been kind of worried about how things are going with my employment. I didn't know if there was going to be a place for me, because my job's kind of drying up for what I do, and I was hoping to transition into another department, but I'm starting to think that they're just wanting to cut me loose. So I'm not too thrilled, and I don't really have any plans beyond what I'm doing and just kind of waiting things out and doing what I do. But there's not really much else I can do yet. And if I lose my job, I can't keep doing what I'm doing because the whole industry is just sort of dried up. I mean, there's not really a role for me. I do video production, by the way. And now you could say, well, there's tons of people doing, like, believe what you want. There's a lot of people who claim that they're doing video production and doing all this, but they're also supplementing it with other income and doing other things, or they have a benefactor, someone else who's making money that's, supporting them. Very few people actually do this for a living and make good money off of it. I used to be one of those people. I still am. I shouldn't be poo-pooing my situation. I still make good money and I have a good job, but there's only so much you can do if there's no work. So I'm trying to incorporate a new aspect into my daily workflow. I was up until today a manager, and they took that away from me because I haven't had anyone under my employ for a year. But which I understand the decision, but they could have just there's some aspects of it as to why I'm learning it now that just sort of rubbed me the wrong way. But now that's what got me thinking and got me worrying and I'm on vacation, so it's like, it's not the greatest time in the world to be obsessing over that sort of stuff. I don't have an escape. I just kind of, wade in the waters of anxiety. And my situation is, I guess you could say that I've been giving a lot of thought to my life overall and my place in my life and where I would like to be. And I don't really ask for a lot. I don't really want a lot. So I'm always like, I just keep telling myself, like, why can't I just have the life that I want? Why do I always have to, like, live for other people? Why do I always have to do these things for other people and give them the lives they want? Why can't I just have the life I want? And the unfortunate aspect of that is because I made commitments that I can't walk away from. I mean, I guess I could. Anyone can, but I just... I don't know. Because I'm at a point in my life now where I could reduce my spending overall and live in a much simpler, modest place and have less, do less, and, you know, and be happy for the rest of my life, you know. But it's an unfortunate reality that I kind of serve a function. I'm a cog in a wheel. And if I depart the machine breaks down. And the machine won't have that. I mean, I'm not insanely thrilled about the fact that I got to learn a new job, you know, to keep my current job. I mean, they would ultimately argue, I believe, that why pay me to do this other job when they could bring in someone else cheaper and have them do the same job? Why pay me an exorbitant amount of money to do this new job? And I'm just like, I don't know. I guess my point is, like, I kind of knew this day would come eventually. They would get cutthroat. And I just don't know what I'm going to do. I guess it was what it all boils down to. And I kind of conned myself into not worrying about it for the duration of this year. But it was always in the back of my mind. But now it's full force. It's right back. Because I always said for over a decade, I said, if anything happens, if a certain thing happens at my job, I'm going to have to start looking for, you know, another job. And that thing kind of happened. Not really, not fully, but I don't know. There's no loyalty. No loyalty whatsoever. I've been with the company for 20 years. I'm coming up on 21 years now with the company, and that could be all, that's all for naught. They don't give a shit. Just to save some money, they'll let me go. Too much change has happened. And I know, like, this is riveting conversation, like me talking about my job, you know, during a Let's Play, but it's all that I've got on my mind. And I gotta knock this out because I've got footage I've got to edit, and I got to get this stuff uploaded because I can't continue playing if I don't. And everything's becoming a tedious, task-oriented situation. It's like, this is becoming a job, you know, just doing this. And it's like, why am I doing this to myself? I mean, I've had that thought at least 100 times in the past hour. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Why can't I just play a game and be happy and not try to make it into a thing? Why am I doing this thing where I'm just going to put it out there and make videos? And because it's like, it's the wellspring of hope that is a never-ending kick in the nuts, essentially. And I mean, I would be fine if I could go back to the old way of doing it, where I just hit a recorder or hit a start on a recorder, play the game, and then stop it every day, upload that clip, and then keep playing. I would be happy. That would be all I would need. I wouldn't need any more than that. But now, again, we go back to the whole, why don't you just stream? And earlier today was the entire reason why I don't stream. I started doing commentary during my playthrough, and just doing that commentary, I started making, it distracted me enough to where I started making like silly mistakes and almost getting killed and just doing ridiculous stuff because I was mentally, I'm not focused. I'm divided between feeling the need to say things and comment on what I'm doing and be entertaining and then focus on the game. Because when I'm in deep focus, I just kind of zone out and I just go silent and my head is fully into what I'm doing. So, I can't divide my attention and give it, 100% either way. It just ends up being bad commentary and bad gameplay. So I decided enough of that. I'm going to just nix the live commentary and do the commentary after the fact. If I hope to, even do this, because I can't divide my attention that way. But that's why I can't do live streams, because I'm too worried. I mean, even no one could be watching the stream. I mean, no one's paying attention to the commentary I was doing. I was literally recording it while I was going, and that was enough of a distraction. It has nothing to do with the outside world. It's all what's going on in my head. And I will consistently screw myself when I'm, too focused on it being what it needs to be. Whatever that is, I don't even know. I figured might as well drink from the pond there, because I was already suffering from dysentery. Roll the dice and increase my dysentery possibly, but replenish my hydration, which at that moment is more important than the dysentery. The early game has its trials and tribulations. I'm just now getting beyond that, where I can have some pretty consistent water and food. And I was saying steak and eggs, I think, before. It's bacon and eggs. Like, once you get that's the thing I make all the time, is bacon and eggs. I mean, it replenishes a lot as far as like food goes, but it also gives you a stamina boost, and that's why I like it so much early game. I try to change it up to like meat stew or something else later on, but early game, bacon and eggs is the way to go. It's weird because before I started today, I was watching some live streams while I was uploading day 2, and man, there are people just like crazy deep in the game, but they're like, and it made me realize, like, man, I've been playing this game way too long. I know these areas. I know so much about this game now that it's like there's no mystery. There's pretty much no joy left in it. I'm just kind of, it's a task-oriented thing for me. It's almost like it's like a job. It feels like a job. But I was just watching people have fun with it. I got kind of annoyed because somebody that was in the chat of the live stream I was watching, it was like me and one other dude. There was only like 2 people watching the stream. It was me and this other guy, and this guy was just like constantly berating the streamer about his decisions to, like, the way he was playing. And I'm just sitting back. I was like, I'm just taking it in. I'm like, what's going on? Like this, like a lot of this stuff doesn't make sense, but I'm not going to just jump down the guy's throat about it. So I was like, taking it, and I realized that he was playing the PS4 or PS5 version. And I guess that now that they've released 1.0 or 1.1 or whatever, they're doing updates for the Xbox and PlayStation versions of 7 Days to Die. Because I know for the longest time they didn't, and you basically just had like, I mean, they still don't update it as regularly. I mean, there for a long time they didn't update the game hardly at all, at least not to the pace they did with PC. So if you played on the console, you're playing a really outdated old version. So this guy it had been years since he played it, and he came back to the game and was playing it again. So that to me made sense, like, oh, he's coming into this fresh after so many years, and the game's almost completely, the mechanics of the game and everything is completely different. He's not aware of how much change has gone on. So, and when you know that, it kind of changes your overall perspective on what's going on, because it's like, clearly this guy's not, I mean, he was just having fun with it, but he's also completely unaware of, the mechanics of the new version of the game. So you got to cut him some slack. But then I just continue to watch, and I'm like, man, this guy's like giving it his all. He only has like 2 people watching his stream, but man, he's animated as all hell, giving it his all, talking a mile a minute, and having fun, just having fun with the game. And I'm like, man, and then I was just like, I got envious, because I'm like, man, I wish I could have fun playing this game like that. I wish I could just kick back and just have fun. But nope, it's like, even what I'm doing now, it's all part of the system that I've done. It's from learning that I can do these things and sneak into that room and loot everything without waking up the biker and the other zombies in that closet. It's like, now I do it automatically. It's like breathing now. I don't even think about it. I just go do it. And the more I repeat these and the more I do it, the more automatic everything becomes, to the point where it's more or less just me. I'm going to start calculating time, everything based in time, as opposed to what I need to do. There's not going to be any real game left. It's going to be these are the tasks that I have to perform in this particular time. And that's also sort of debilitating too, because when I start falling behind a schedule, because now I create a schedule for myself and what point in time, things need to be done by, to know that I'm doing well or things are progressing, well enough. And if I start falling behind that timetable, then I start to get anxious and I start to get, upset, because I'm like, things aren't going as fast as they should be. I should be making progress at a lot, much faster pace. What's going on? Is it something I'm doing? Is it the game? Is the RNG? Is it something else? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, why haven't, after all these attempts, haven't I figured out a way to roll with the punches and compensate for the RNG of the game and bad starts or good starts or whatever, and try to, I don't know, basically, what do you call it? Not evaluate, but average out, a system of where I make certain advancements in the game, or learn certain things, or at least, get my forge, get my workbench, get the bike, get this, these recipes, and be able to craft this stuff, or blah, 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 by certain periods, or, within certain days. I'm almost to a point where I feel like I could predict that, or at least get it down to a regimented timeline. But again, where's the fun in that? There is no fun in that. I remember when I started up day 4 today, I was kicking myself because I felt like I was so far behind. I felt like, man, there is no possible way I'm going to climb my way out of this. And I guess I don't really consider that when I talk about doing a trap only run. People who I've told it to are like, oh man. And they're like, really? Well, like, how do you even do that? I guess I don't really consider the fact that I've gotten really good at speed running the first part of this game to get my levels up in a short period of time. That's the only way I think you can really make it work. I guesstimate, because ultimately what it comes down to is just making a wooden trap and running around. And I have decided that if I die on this playthrough, I'm going to try a completely different strategy next time, where I put most of my skill points into agility and try to just make it all about cardio and agility, and just try to run as much as humanly possible, and then throw down traps. Wow, that was loud. Wow, that's loud too. And ultimately, that's... I don't know. I'll have to change it up. I can't keep doing the same thing over and over if it's not working. If I can't get past day 14 doing it the way I have been doing it, then there's no real... I got to change up my method. But that's the thing I always have to remind myself and tell myself over and over, is like, there's no expectation for me to do this. I'm putting so much emphasis and thought and dedication into this, and there's no reason to do it. At the end of the day, it's just something I decided to do. It's what I'm doing now. It'll change a month from now, 2 months from now, and then I'll be totally dedicated to doing something else. But for right now, it's 7 days to die. It's trap only run. It's hard to divorce myself from thoughts of work. I mean, it literally just happened like an hour or two ago that I learned about this. So it's like, it's so soon and so recent that it's hard to just kind of put it out of my mind. Oh, geez. I don't know if my phone's picking up those notification things or not. I should probably turn that down when I do these recordings. Man, I've got so much more time to go on this playthrough. I feel like I've said so much and talked a mile a minute, and man, there's so much left. There is so much left of this day. Yeah, 12:02. Oh my God. Was that 16 hours? I've never counted how long.
Hey, I'd shake your hand, but I bet you got dysentery.
Like how many minutes an actual hour is in this game.
You better take this job. Word of advice.
Yeah, I figure it's 24 hours.
Don't expect
starting
me
at
to
4.
hold your hand through it.
24 hours. 4 to 4 is an hour and 9 minutes.
Thank you.
Pretty consistently an hour and 9 minutes.
Fuck you.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do something about those notifications. Hold on, because I don't know if that's recording or not.
Flash some cash or get lost.
Come on. Oh, come on.
Well, you better get your ass to crack a book, because you're dumber than dirt.
Okay. So, starting January 1st, I go back to hourly employment. For 15 years, I've been salaried through my company, and now I'm back to being an hourly wage earner. Jesus Christ. the kind of things you want to learn about, when you're approaching 50. Yeah, there's where I put those 3 glue in. I was like, when I started day 4, I'm like, man, I only have 3 glue and I need to make another dew collector. And that's the one thing that just really wasn't coming up. I searched so many different places and loot so much, but glue just wouldn't come up. I'm like, man, there's something up. And I don't know if it's because I didn't realize it until I started like day 4 or 5, that I hadn't gone into the burnt woods yet. And I wonder if going into because after I went into the burnt woods, I noticed the glue started appearing in loot boxes and loot crates a lot more frequently. So I'm wondering if that's one of those things that gets triggered by going into a certain biome. I don't know. Yeah, these zombies keep building up. I also noticed this playthrough, the zombies are more late, like not late game, but early mid-game runny. Like their jog or their pace is a little quicker. It started out the game that way. So I've been adjusting to that, which is no big deal. But one of the things I did this last day was I started running at night, which is like, I don't know. To me, it's a big deal because normally when night occurs, I would be in a squat position and I would just squat walk for the entire night. And I know that had to be frustrating as hell to watch somebody just squat walk their way across the map. But now I'm like, I'm just going to run. If I'm not carrying like a whole lot of, gear or whatever, and I can outrun the zombies, yeah, I'm going to run. But if I put more points into athletic stuff, I need to get some armor or clothing or whatever that accentuates stamina regen and extra stamina or whatever. And I need to put more perks into stealth and agility, and basically max out cardio, max out parkour. And that way I would be literally just bouncing off the walls. I don't know if this is like a sickness or not. Just watching myself pick up, it's like Pavlovian. I see a hint of a nest, and I immediately run to it. I have to get the nest. I have to search the nest. That's been, ever since I started playing 7 Days to Die, because it was always difficult to come by feathers in this game to craft arrows, and arrows were like my main weapon, my bow and arrow. For the majority of my early game playthroughs, I'd focus on the bow and arrow. So yeah, it's like, you just see, I'm being chased by a zombie and I have to stop and get to I'm just conditioned to immediately go for him, to not squander that stuff. But now, since I'm not doing anything with the bow and arrow, it's all for eggs. Like, eggs are super essential to me for early mid-game nourishment. Because I know that I'm going to need to start making a lot of bacon and eggs, and I want to have a surplus of eggs going into it by the time I get that recipe unlocked. But now it's even elevated to the point where not only is it the nest thing, now it's like every time I see like paper and dirt or debris or whatever on the ground, I feel like I need to hit that. I need to bust that up, because that's going to give me plastic and that's going to give me cloth. And I need both of those things too. Like if I wasn't running all through this building in this manner to just trying to wake the zombies up, I'd be stopping at all of those little patches and hammering it out to get the plastic and cloth goodness. Oh yeah, I want to get up in that room. I was like, why didn't I fire up the mission? Because I want to get up there and loot that area before I start the mission. I mean, it could be argued that you could go faster with guns if you just go in blazing, but I don't know. I mean, I guess when I consider my former style of play, doing the trap only run is considerably sped up the process for me of doing missions. But that, like I just was saying before, it's like that has a lot to do with the fact that I used to sneak my way through POIs and try to be stealthy as much as possible. I wouldn't group up zombies. I try to take them all out single file if I possibly could, and get sneak attacks on them all the time. And now I just go for it. You know, I just throw caution to the wind. There I go. And that's definitely changed up my system, and it's worked to my advantage because it's making things go quicker. I mean, you could argue the fact that maybe if I did a run where I just start doing that, but I'm not used to doing it with weapons though. So implementing the weapon aspect, because to me there's a risk reward aspect when it comes to the weapon usage, because it puts you in direct conflict with zombies. I mean, it basically puts you in a danger close sort of situation, because you have to get close, especially for like melee weapons. You got to get close enough for the zombies to just strike you. And that's always a dangerous proposition. To me, the thing about the traps is just great because it's like you throw it down and then it does the work for you. You can run around doing whatever while the trap's doing its work. Man, this game is boring. Just watching this game, it's like I love playing it, but watching myself go through the motions in the very analytical, sterile, like I know I'm going to search all of these cabinets. I'm going to destroy those blinds because I need the plastic. I'm surprised I didn't pick up the plant. I usually do that too, just for the added soil. Go get the mailbox. It's probably paper. Yep. That's the other thing about this run. It's like 75 to 80% of the time I open a mailbox, it's been paper. Always hoping for a forge book when I see a workbench. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes it does. That made me think about like the last run I did, where I ended up unlocking the workbench and didn't even realize that I did it. I've been gathering more and more of those forge books. I'm like, why haven't I unlocked the workbook or workbench yet? I've been getting these things like crazy. And then I finally get one and it says lockpicks unlocked. I'm like, what? You mean I've had the workbench this whole time and I didn't know it? Oh, that may have been me doing that. See, I see that screen come up. I'm like, oh no, there was an error. And that means my recording was probably... Because that's the thing that always comes up when Microsoft Game Bar would drop something with the video, and then I would lose like the remainder of the video. It would still show that I was recording if I looked at it, but it would not capture anything after that point. It would just... Something happened to that recording and it just errors out the rest of it. So every time I see that come up, like some error notification, I immediately stop my stream, or stop the recording, and then make sure that, you know, it's saved, and then start up a new recording. This little procedural stuff that I have to do to keep checks and balances, things to keep track of, just to make sure this stuff keeps going on, because I can't count how many times I've lost, you know, days or lost entire streams because I wasn't vigilant in keeping track of that stuff. And then I'm just bounding around like, yeah, da-da-da-da, and thinking everything is great. And then I realize, like, you know, 3 hours after the fact that I lost like an entire section of one of my days, or an entire day, you know, overall. Sometimes even multiple days. And it's such a gut punch every time when I'm trying to do something. I mean, what I'm trying to do is basically upload these videos. I'm not even trying to play the damn game anymore. The real speedrun challenge is getting these videos out as fast as I can. And it honestly doesn't help with having to come back and re-record, spend an hour and 9 minutes every single time to record commentary for it. So some of these episodes, I don't know. I told myself earlier this morning when I was pissed at myself for not being able to do live commentary, that I was just going to drop the commentary thing and go back to that this is taking too much time, and I just want to play the game. I don't want to do all this aspect of. But I'm like, well, you created an intro and you're having to do the editing anyway. It's like, why wouldn't you just go ahead and do this? I don't know. Ultimately, I mean, I would love to do commentary and play at the same time and save myself that added hour, but I just can't do it. I can't. I remember watching a live stream. It was something called Conversations with Curtis, and the deep lore in it is the guy is the protagonist of an old FMV game called Phantasmagoria 2: A Puzzle of the Flesh, and he started up a channel where he streams himself playing FMV games with his friends, and he did an interview with Noah Antweiler, the Spoony one, and he did a let's play of Phantasmagoria back in the day that was pretty popular for his channel, and you know, I really liked it. But then he wanted to interview Noah, and I remember during that interview Noah saying something about the process in which his process for doing like let's plays and things like that, his video reviews, where he would he'd play the game and then he would record dialogue as he was going, but then he'd realize that he would just stop talking and start focusing on the game, or he wasn't saying as much live as he did when he started the game. So he'd have to go back and punch it up after the fact with additional dialogue and things like that. And I'm like, man, that just sounds like a lot of work. It sounds like a lot of work. Now, granted, he was getting pretty good amount of money. I mean, his channel was pretty popular. He got a lot of views. So, I mean, in essence, like, it's worth it in that regard. I mean, if you're just doing it for free, then it's like a tremendous amount of work. That's why I've been trying to make this as painless as humanly possible. This whole process, make it to where I don't have to do very much actual editing and production work and whatever, but I'm also a stickler for quality, apparently. But everything takes longer. The uploads to YouTube take longer. It could very well be argued I'd be best served doing a live stream, but again, I know I keep circling back to this point over and over and over, but I can't just sit there on a stream and play the game. And you could say, well, yeah, you can, and just don't say anything. Hell, don't even turn your mic on. The point is, well, I'll know I'm live streaming, and if I have the microphone and everything's there, I'll know I need to say stuff. And it's even worse if I can see chat, because if I can see chat and people start asking me questions, Now I'm more focused on addressing their concerns or their questions or talking to them than I am doing anything in the game. And my focus is completely shifted away from what I'm wanting to do or supposed to be doing. So I've learned it over many, many failed attempts and many times of trying to just do streams in general. I suck at it because it divides my attention from what I set out to do. And I think, God, I walked right into that. I mean, I don't want to sound condescending or egotistical or whatever, but I feel like when I just ramble, I'm hitting a stride when I ramble. I don't know, maybe not. But I think people find me more interesting when I ramble than when I try to focus on like back and forth and conversations with people. And if I'm addressing chat and questions that people have, it's not as entertaining as just letting me go. Because when I just go off, it's hard to say where I'm going to end up. It's clearly not going to be where I started from. I mean, I just go off on tangent after tangent after tangent, and it starts to get really spacey and weird, and it can. Or it can just be procedural as it is this time. But when I just let myself go and feel free enough to just talk and not concern myself with how it's going to be received and not have to get, immediate feedback from people about what I'm doing and what I could be doing and what I should be talking about, what they want to talk about, and yada, yada, yada. It's like I just put myself in a void. I just talk. And somehow it works out. Maybe. I don't know. I talk as though I have a popular channel. But yeah, doing stream of consciousness, just talking and isolating myself from the outside world and just focusing on deep dive discussions, explorations of topics and things like that. That's, I think, where I feel the most comfortable. That's for sure. I don't know if I'm really all that good at it. I can't say for sure, but it makes me the most comfortable. And sometimes that conversation delves into my personal affairs, as it has on this episode. I mean, I couldn't think of anything else the good thing about getting at least older for me is that it'll pass just because I'll forget. It's not going to be as present in my mind because other things will have happened through the day, and my brain just is kind of forced to push out the old to make room for the new information. It's like, oh, well, I let it go. I don't like to worry. I really don't like to worry. Worrying does nothing for the human body. It just makes you more susceptible to disease and bad health. It's so debilitating. It's better to not worry, but sometimes, you just can't avoid it. Your life throws situations at you where you have to you have to worry. I guess the irritating aspect of it all is that, you spend enough of your life working and building something to a point where you feel like later in life, like you're paying your dividends early on and you're paying your dues, so to speak. You're making your mistakes and you're learning as you go. And it's all in the service of one day being able to kick back and relax and say, you know what, it was kind of a struggle, but I finally got to a point where I'm comfortable, I have stability, and the worry can finally end. And I thought I had reached that point, but apparently not. Apparently not. I do not know why my employer is so hell-bent on I don't know. It's like they have concerns that they don't want to address with their employees. They just want to make decisions about their employees, and it's like, you're just going to accept the decision we made. Like, well, why don't we have a conversation about it? Like, I'm an adult. I'm an adult person who may be more amicable than you think. You know, it's you and your fear of addressing difficult topics and difficult subjects. Wow, I just now got the grate. That's crazy. Almost end of day 3, and I finally find the iron grate. That's crazy. But that's what I mean. It's like, to me, it's like, I don't know what kind of fantasy world employers live in where they think, well, we have the authority over people and we can just dictate to them and they have to take it. And it's like, that's crazy thought. That is a crazy thought to have in my mind, because these are real people you're dealing with, and you're trying to treat them like, you know, they're not, that they're not even people. So you can make your decisions and be comfortable with it. And that's what it ultimately amounts to, is like upper management making decisions that would make other people's skin crawl, any human skin crawl. And they do it by divorcing the humanity from the topic.
Look quick.
And it's like, how do you do that, you know? Well, there's a myriad of ways that management figures out to do it, but it's just like, all I wanted was my security. I've got 15 years at best left of employment before I can reach retirement. 10 to 15 years. If I retired at 60, then yeah, I can say, well, that's 12 years, but still, it's like,
that's all you're gonna buy?
I'm very, I would say I'm closer to retirement than I was when I started, obviously. But to me, it's like, anymore, that doesn't even seem like a large amount of time. But
look, blockhead, I
don't know,
jackass.
You know?
This don't pay by the hour.
You hope you can just ride it out, but that's just not the way it is sometimes. We'll see how things go. I have no doubt in my mind that if I can make it past 2025, the end of 2025, and make it into 2026, things should be better for me. And if I end up doing this new role and they work me into that, you know, aspect of things, and I'll feel a lot more comfortable about my situation. I don't want to do a new job for the company. I'd rather just keep doing what I've been doing these past 21 years. But, you know, push comes to shove, you got to do what you got to do. I'd rather do that than have to go out in the open job market and find a new job. But it is what it is. I don't know if this is the playthrough. I don't think this is the one. I think it's day 4 or day 5 where I start to realize every tree I come upon is like 1,200. I'm like, what is the deal? I think it was then, because I was like really stressing out about how long it was taking to do everything. Because I get into these weird panicky sort of situations where I feel like I'm behind I'm behind schedule, and I got to pick up the pace and get things done quickly. And when it takes forever to chop down a tree, I'm like, this is taking too long. Why is it still taking this long? Blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm watching it now. It's not really taking that long. But boy, when I'm in the moment, it's like, geez. See, here I was worried that I wasn't going to make it through. It's 21:07. I've got, 5 hours left. I never did calculate the amount of, what did I say? Let's say 70 minutes. 70 minutes is a weird amount of time. I don't know. I can't do it without a calculator. I used to be able to do math in my head really well, but now I can't. Just going to divide 24 into, or 70 into 24. And that would tell me how many, minutes per hour this game is. Or minutes per day, I should say. Like, well, yeah, per hour. Because that's what I was interested in finding. I know how many minutes per day it is. I need to dissect that into a 24-hour time frame. I don't have to, and I really shouldn't. That's kind of the point. Like, the more I get familiarized with that on a very regimented time scale, it's like then I start to really punish myself if I'm falling behind by increments of mere minutes or seconds in that regard. It's like I think of ways to better maximize my efficiency and try to shoot for that, and then I get caught in this loop where I've done this several times where I'll start a run and then things aren't adding up or things aren't happening fast enough, so I just kill the run, start a new run until I can get a good flow going. It's like I feel like that's crazy, doing things that way. Oh, I say 5 hours? No, it's longer than that. 6 hours once it gets to 22. Oh, well, a little longer than I thought. And yes, I always shut off my, even if it's inside, I shut off the campfire. Because I really don't want to play defense, like a tower defense situation with zombies attacking my base and have to be rushed out of my base. And that's a really big deal later on, like later in the game, because when zombies can actually come in and like start blowing up, you could end up losing a lot of gear if you're not careful. I know I'm implementing those strategies early on, but it's almost like conditioning for myself to not do it later on. See, this is when I realized that I don't have enough glue to make duct tape to make the new the other dew collector. And it's already night, so I can't go out and fire up the campfire to make one thing of glue. Oh boy, do I actually come on down here and do this. I thought by this point I had made the decision to step away from mining as much and focus more on running around and completing missions and gathering things up that I would need later on. But no, here I am, still doing it. Oh man, I have got to go to the bathroom. I am going to go to the bathroom and pee while this is going on, because if all I'm going to be doing is mining, then I don't have to see the screen. I can just assume I'm mining. been something in the containers. Don't know what. Goofing around. Get to have I have to talk things over with my wife when she gets home from work about this situation. I mean, I really don't want to think that it's a case in which I'm back to worrying about whether or not I'm going to have a job. I can't help but do that, though, because I don't know. It's just who I am as a person, I suppose. I worry about things like this happen, and it's like I see all the variables and what could potentially happen, and I put no credence in the idea that they're going to keep me on just because, oh, I'm a nice guy and I've been with the company for a long time. It doesn't matter. But, I don't know. One could argue that this is just me reaping what I sow, because I went to, what was it, earlier this year, I went to the COO of the company, and I talked to him about, like, hey, you know, I would like to know, like, what I can do to, like, do more and do different things and possibly transition into another department, blah, 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 or do something, you know, because I want to keep my job. And he had no interest in hearing anything that I was talking about. He was not interested at all in the topic of, because his whole thing was like, we're not talking about getting rid of you. What are you talking about? Why are you even bringing this up? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, because I sense the winds of change. He's like, well, you're thinking too much about it. I'm told at that point that I'm putting, I guess I'm trying to remember how it was put to me, that I'm trying to jump ahead of the game and I'm trying to predict what people are going to do before they even do it. And that I shouldn't do that. But here I am now being officially told I'm no longer a manager, and out of the blue. I mean, they could have told me this at the beginning of the year. They could have told me back when I had that meeting with him. He could have told me, oh, by the way, since, you know, you don't have an employee anymore, we're going to have to change your manager status. But no, we never had that conversation. And you wonder why I try to get ahead of situations, because I know it's going to get dumped on me. But I flat out, I mean, I kind of put the ISR on myself in that meeting, you know, by announcing that, you know, my duties as far as like my job responsibility were kind of not taking up a considerable amount of my time. But it was going to come out in the wash anyway, because they had changed the accounting system as far as like time input and things, and you have to code all of your time for what you're doing. And unless I'm just going to arbitrarily put in, oh, well, it's production. I'm like, I felt weird about that, because I'm like, well, wait a minute. I'm not doing production all of this time. Like, so what do I do when I'm not doing production? You know, like, well, that needs to be discussed. Like, okay, we're discussing it now, aren't we? But then it sort of occurred to me, like, well, when I start coding this different, they're going to realize that production has kind of tapered off this year, and they're going to be like, well, what's going on? And sensing that and knowing that, I was like, well, they got to understand that this stuff's probably not going to come back. I mean, there's a lot of transition, a lot of things have changed especially over the past 10 years. A lot of companies have gotten rid of their dedicated production departments, because their internal production departments, because they just couldn't, keep them on. It wasn't integral to the business model. The company I work for did, because, well, they're a good company. I mean, I've done work. It's not like I don't work. But it's like, I don't know. I'm being told not to worry a lot about the situation that if I were on the other side of, I would be moderately concerned about. Not mildly, moderately. Not super concerned, but moderately concerned. I'd be like, well, something needs to happen here. But they have this, habit of keeping me at an arm's distance. They don't want to hear any of my input. They don't want to, I've been a manager for 15 years. I have never been to a manager meeting. I've never really been treated with any sort of like respect in that regard. They don't want to know my opinions or know my ideas on how to do, because I don't know. At the end of the day, I feel like I was always the black sheep of the company, or at least my department was. I don't know how else I can think of it, with things like this changing and going that way. Where am I going at this time of night? Gearing up to go somewhere. Oh, it's 1:27. I'm making my way over to the mission so I can start it the first thing in the morning. Oh, yeah. Now I remember. This is where I started today. It's going to take me, what? 2.5 hours to get to that tower, that fire tower? Oh my God. What the hell was I doing? Well, since it's getting late in the video, I'm still trying to decide if the next, because I've got at least two episodes ahead of me that still need to be edited together, and I just don't know if I'm going to do commentary. The majority of my day now is spent editing and commentary. Like, I've only gotten in 2.5 hours of gameplay, and the rest of this has been just busy work. It should be the other way around. So I don't know if I'm going to do commentary on, because once I get this done, I got to lay it on this track and then export this video out before I can even start with the other videos. And I got to free up that space in order to do more to play more. Do you see what I'm getting at with this? How it's just like this spiral of busy work. It makes me want to just stop the run altogether and just take it offline and not even record it, not do anything with it. Or figure out a way to where I can just go back to doing bulk, sessions and just upload the stuff willy-nilly. Like, I don't have, here's the thing though, and here's what I'm getting at. Like, I'm trying to do quality content, and the quality of someone who, I don't know, has actual viewers. Not to say I don't have people watching these videos. There's a handful of people who are watching them. But I'm like, I don't have like hundreds of people, dozens even. I don't have any, I've got single digit numbers, maybe sometimes double digit. Like, I shouldn't be obsessed over quality and presentation and things like that. But it's part of my nature for what I do. These are the things that I think about when I do anything. So it's hard for me to just not do that and to just, to put up inferior quality, because I'm like, well, the whole point of putting these videos up is so because people are going to watch them, right? They're not going to just watch silent playthrough or playthrough with nothing but game audio that's looks like it's muddy as all hell and pixelated and blocky due to compression artifacting. And I mean, if you're making your audience struggle to watch what you do, then why are you even doing it? Those are the questions I beat myself up with every time and you can see how it just becomes a cyclical scenario where I'm not enjoying myself. I'm more or less just berating myself and getting under my own skin about not doing things good enough. And I torture myself over this concept of like, there's got to be a way in which I can do this that's more streamlined and easier, better, whatever. And not in the scenario that I want to do it. Not in the way I guess I should explain this aspect in the last hour of this video. I'm on my couch watching on my big TV. I'm playing on my big TV. And that's how I'm recording these games. That's how I'm doing the commentary right now. And that's the way I'm playing all these games. The only other way to do this more efficiently is to do it at my other computer where I have dual monitors and I can run OBS on the second monitor, start and stop without it appearing on screen, because that's really all what it comes down to. I just didn't want OBS to be at the beginning and the end of the video. I mean, who cares, you know? Who really cares at the end of the day if you see a little bit of my OBS setup at the beginning or the end of the day? Me, apparently. Because it's prevented me from doing it that way. But once I start going down that rabbit hole, it's like, well, if I'm going to do this, then I might as well do that. If I'm going to do this, I might as well do that. And that's why I'm doing commentary right now. And that's why I have 2 more hours and 2 more commentaries that I got to do after I even start. Well, after I render this out, then start uploading it and then start editing the other one together. Which there's not much editing, to be honest. It's literally just laying it on the track, top and tailing it, and then doing the commentary track. But nevertheless, it's time consuming. There's the fire tower, so we are rounding it out. There's got to be a snake around here somewhere. Because I think that's where where this ends, is me killing a snake. Then we'll start up day 4 proper. Yep, there it is. So I hope you enjoyed day 3, and thanks for watching. I'm gonna fight with myself to make myself follow through on this and keep doing it, even though I'm don't enjoy it at all. But I've committed to it at this point, so I feel like I at least owe it to anyone watching this to keep doing it. So I'm gonna barrel through. So again, thanks for watching, and if you want to stick around, I'll see you in the next episode. Later.